What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. And thank you guys for tuning in to another video. Combine season is almost here, folks. Only a few more days before the CFL Invitational Combine officially gets going in Waterloo, Ontario. And that's going to bring me to today's guest. And we're going to be joined for episode 39 by University of Saskatchewan running back Ryker Frank. Ryker is going to be busy this upcoming Thursday by the time you guys are listening to this, or when we're going to be uploading this. It's going to be the Monday of Combine Week, Invitational Combine Week, I should just clarify. And Ryker will be one of the participants showcasing his talents in Waterloo for CFL scouts and CFL personnel to hopefully advance him and a few others to the National Combine in a few more weeks' time after this invitational combine gets done. So excited to have Ryker on. This is going to start our prospect, preview profile. Last year we did a little bit of a prospects to watch. We did a little prospects. Sorry, we did a little prospects to watch series on our Instagram as I try to fumble my words out. And we had about 4 prospects we narrowed in on last year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get them on the channel, but this year we're going to kind of have the same idea. We're going to be joined by a few guests that are going to be participating in the Invitational Combine. Ryker will be one of them. We are also going to be having on University of Manitoba quarterback Jackson Tuchinski. You guys can expect that to be uploaded in the next couple of days before leading up to the Invitational Combine as well. And after that, we will see how our schedule is lining up, and we will maybe reach back out to a few of the top performers at the Invitational Combine and get them on in between the little break from the Invitational, the end of the Invitational to the National, and then in between that as well, we're going to have probably about same number, maybe 2 or 3 guests on, or prospects on, that are attending the National Combine as well. So that probably brings me to, if you guys would like to see any certain prospects specifically, please comment down below. If you guys are commenting down below, please feel free to leave a like, and most importantly, please subscribe to the channel. When you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys will get notified every single time we upload any content here on the channel. So episode 39, prospects to watch, starting here on the channel. That's going to bring me to our first ad read of the episode. So let me know how you guys are finding the ads, the little ad reads in there. Hopefully they're not too annoying for you guys. And also, if you guys are interested in partnering with Canadian Football Fanatics, please feel free to comment down below on the YouTube, reach out to us on our social media platforms, or you can reach out to us on our personal social media as well, that being me or Blake. So let's get it started. Attention, Canadian Football Fanatics. This episode is brought to you by Area 51 Sports, your one-stop shop for all your football needs. Whether you're looking for top-notch footballs, helmets, shoulder pads, cleats, gloves, or even flag football gear, and custom uniforms, Area 51 Sports has got you covered. Trusted by athletes at every level, they're dedicated to helping you play at your best. Gear up and dominate the field with Area 51 Sports. Visit their website today and take your game to the next level. That is area51sports.com for all your football needs today. A shout out to Area 51 Sports for coming on and sponsoring the program for the next probably dozen or so episodes. And actually, Area 51, we're locked in for a year-long partnership as well. You'll see our next sponsor here in a moment. But as I'm getting to back to Ryker, our guest today, for those who maybe aren't familiar with him, you should be familiar with him if you are in the Saskatchewan area. A very prolific high school career, and many awards throughout his high school career. He goes to the University of Saskatchewan and has a pretty good impact right away his freshman year, and slowly stacked seasons on top of another. And then this year he blew up first team All-Canadian, or maybe a second team, All-Canadian, Canada West All-Star. Just over 1,000 yards rushing in the regular season. I believe he topped that in all total games played this year. But Ryker, in a conference full of very, very talented running backs that have gotten, NFL interest from. Ryker is right up there with those running backs in the conference and in U Sports in general. So episode 39 coming at you guys today. Let me know if you guys have been enjoying the last few episodes. We've had, Javon Katoy, BC Lions receiver on, Andrew Harris, CFL legend, Sean Arabsky. Of course, we had the up and coming Taylor Algersma, CFL, NFL draft prospect. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying that one. By the time this is uploaded, you guys already have Michael O'Connor in your YouTube feed from the Canadian Football Fanatics. Like I said, this one will be posted on the Monday. We're hoping to have Jackson on and be posted by Wednesday. Combine being the Thursday. Let me see the official date. Excuse me, the 27th will be the combine in Waterloo. So that brings us to our second sponsor before we get to our guest of this episode, and that is going to be the Senior Men's Canadian National Football Team. Attention, Canadian football fans. Your Senior Men's Canadian National Football Team needs your support as they gear up to represent Canada and Europe this April for a critical game versus Italy. Help the boys bring home the win by checking out the fundraising options and official team merchandise at footballcanada.com. Every purchase and donation goes directly to supporting the team on their journey. Let's show the world what Canadian football is all about. Head to footballcanada.com today and help the team make us proud. Shout out to the boys. Like I said, by the time you guys are listening to this one, Michael O'Connor will be up on your feeds, and Jamel Lyle is one of the running backs for the Senior Men's National Team. Will be joining us here in the next coming weeks before they go off to Europe and play in that game versus Italy. And working in tandem with the Senior Men's National Team. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, shout out to HK for helping things get going. So I think that's about all, folks. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. You guys can find us on social media. We're on Instagram at Canadian Football Fanatics. We are on Twitter at _CF Fanatics as well. And of course, you guys can find us on YouTube. A great, big, capital big, friendly reminder to subscribe. The following and the engagement has been very good the last month and a half into the new year. It's been really good for the Canadian Football Fanatics, but still 75% of people that are tuning into our content on YouTube specifically are unsubscribed. So please, folks, subscribe, help us get to our goal of 400 now by the season. We are currently, I think, just under 310. I think it was 309 before we hit record on today's episode. So without further ado, folks, let's send it over to University of Saskatchewan Huskies running back Ryker Frank. Joining me now is University of Saskatchewan running back Ryker Frank. Ryker, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, man. Excited to begin our prospects to watch, I guess is probably the right word to phrase it, and get a few of you guys on here and just kind of chat about your guys' journey and get some of us fans familiar with some of your guys' story and, kind of in your football journey. So where I first wanted to start off, Ryker, and kind of doing some research about you. I'm sure a lot of people in the Saskatchewan area are well familiar with who you are and your career and your journey in football. But for the rest of us in Canada here and myself and my listeners, I'm just curious, maybe if you could start of, where your love for football began and maybe who, was it a buddy? Was it your brother in the family, something like that? And just kind of let us know where your love for football began.
Yeah, so my love for football actually started out as a dislike of football. I sort of joined just a couple of my buddies were in, so I was always sort of a faster kid, so I thought, I'll try this out. And I remember after the first practice, my helmet was hurting my head. I hated it. I told my mom I wanted to quit, but she's told me I had to stick it through. And I think that was in 7th or 8th grade. I started a little later than most. A lot of guys playing in that Atom, but I started first year Pee Wee on the Pee Wee Riders in Regina, Saskatchewan. And yeah, I guess that's sort of where my love for the game began.
I love that. The classic, my head hurts from the helmet. I think every football player's had that or gone through those troubles. So, like I was mentioning, of doing a little bit of research for the episode here tonight and learning a little bit more about yourself, it seems like you had a pretty great high school career. So, tell us a little bit about where you went to high school and just about the history, I guess the richer history that comes with the program.
Yeah, so I went to Dr. Martin Leboldus High School in Regina, where we call the Golden Suns. And yeah, that school, they're known for football. They a couple of years before I got there, they went on like a 5-6 peat of winning the provincial championship. Just a great team, and like actually we were supposed to be listed as a small school because of population, but just the coaches we had and the team we were, they always moved us up to the highest division. So we were sort of playing above our league, and still we found great success. And then I got there, had a rough first few years there. I mean, we always made it to the final, lost in the city championship a few times, and then I wrapped up my grade 12 season by finally winning a provincial title with the Suns as well.
So you talk about playing out of your weight class, I guess is maybe we could phrase it that way. I believe it's 6A that you guys play in, correct?
Yeah, they're in 6A now.
Is that the highest level of high school football you can play in Saskatchewan?
Yep, 6A is the highest. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had a few guests on in the last few episodes that are university athletes, and we've all had the conversation of like, man, just the memories you get from football, and just the how almost all football players say that like there's nothing like, you can go through university, you can get to the professional level, and there's nothing like playing, Friday night football with your buddies and some of your best friends that you grew up with, like you said, maybe playing some Pop Warner football and going following each other into high school and stuff like that. What's maybe just, I know, kind of putting you on the spot here, Riker, but what's maybe a memory that is like cherished to you and throughout your high school career that maybe just sticks out to you and your high school career?
Oh boy. I mean, throughout high school, like a lot of those guys, I only know them because I played football. And I mean, I still talk to them just because I played football with them, like uh, I was one of the only ones to come to the U of S. I mean, from my class, I was the only one to come to the U of S. So, I mean, I still have ties to those guys just from football. So, I mean, in that aspect, I think it's not a specific memory, but just my whole friend group in high school was just from the team. So, I mean, you can combine all the memories I've had with those guys into sort of because of football, I guess you could say.
Yes, because of the game, man. Gotta love it. So I'm curious as we get through your high school career and doing more research about you, could you have had a better senior season? Like you said, before you got there, kind of watching the tradition of winning championships, you get to win a championship in your senior year and numerous awards and whatnot, representing different, Team Saskatchewan, Team Canada and whatnot. Take us through that and like I said, a very accomplished player and MVPs of the championship games and whatnot, and having very big games. Maybe not just a memory, but um, take us through what like that would be like having a senior season like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back a little bit further. My journey sort of throughout my whole high school career is you sort of talk about like imposter syndrome. You never really know. So I didn't know I was good at football really coming into high school, right? And then I came in as a grade 10, and I already knew there's some really good running backs on the team. So I'm like, okay, I'll be a backup for a little bit here, and then once these guys, once these grade 12 guys are gone, then maybe I'll get my shot. But no, it was like first practice of grade 10, they threw me in there, said, "Hey, you're starting, buddy." So I mean, just from the get go from my high school career, um, I feel like I was sort of just thrown in there. So then the next few years were sort of figuring out the ropes basically, and then going into my grade 12 season, that's crunch time. I'd missed out on a championship twice in a row, so I told myself I wasn't going to let that happen again. And then, I mean, the senior season sort of speaks for itself. I mean, obviously, I put my love of the game on tape. Battled through injuries that season too. So yeah, just played my heart out, and luckily we're able to win a championship.
Yeah, man, a little trial by fire and going through your ups and downs by going through it in the live bullets is an awesome way to do it. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
um, you know, having a little bit of CJFL experience, played with the Vancouver Island Raiders, having played with guys that come from Saskatchewan and stuff like that, and you hear about being a CFL fan, just the hotbed of loving football in Saskatchewan and stuff like that. Could you maybe just take me and my listeners inside of what it means to play football in Saskatchewan, number one, and just like the atmosphere of you mentioned of going to a high school like Leboldus, where there's a rich tradition of football there, and I would imagine nothing's kind of compared to like what we see down in the States and stuff like that. But I'm sure the buy-in within the community and stuff like that is much different than other provinces and areas in Canada. So can you take us through just the love of football in Saskatchewan communities?
Yeah, I mean, football is definitely big in Saskatchewan, and we actually just here in Saskatoon, we started up this new high school program called the Institute of Saskatchewan Football. So it's like you play football for half the day. And one thing one of their coaches there said to me is they want to make Saskatchewan the Alabama of Canada. You know, like we want to streamline some of our players and just sort of get them to the league. So obviously, just from that, you can sort of tell that we love football here, and I think part of it is because we almost play with like a chip on our shoulder. Like everyone's like, oh, they're just Saskatchewan. Like they got nothing there. They're not very many people, but like we take that to heart. And I think even in things like the Canada Cup, you can sort of see a reflection of that, because especially the past couple of years, Saskatchewan has been pretty dominant in the Canada Cup, and yeah, I think that's just a reflection of how much we love the game.
That's a great transition there, Riker. And you mentioned the Canada Cup, and I already said there and previously of you representing Saskatchewan and as well as Team Canada as well. What was it like to put on your province's colors and represent your province, but as well represent your country?
I mean, yeah, for me, Team Sask was like a life changing experience. We had a great group of coaches, great group of guys, and I think that was probably the most beneficial, football experience I've had for not only my career but just me as a player and a person in general. Um, I mean, I was there for 2 years, and every year I felt like I came back a better player, better person, and then even to extend that, going on to Team Canada and getting to meet all the guys, not just from Saskatchewan. And there too, there's guys that, I met playing Team Canada that I've seen go on and do great things, and, still keep in touch with them a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's been great, both Team Sask and Team Canada, for my development as a player and as a person.
So, we talk about using football as a vehicle to take you, places, and you've done that with, Team Canada and representing Team Canada and going to play, I believe, in very big stadiums and stuff like that in the States. Talk about maybe where or how many times you've represented each Team Saskatchewan and Team Canada, and maybe just the different tournaments that you've attended with both teams.
Oh boy. Okay. So I played two times or sorry, I'll go back in front. I played 1 year of U16 Team Sask. And then after that, I went on to 2 years of U18 Team Sask. And after each year, U16 and U18, I played a Team Canada. So I believe that was 2017, 2018, 2019 was sort of my stretch with Team Sask. And then, yeah, each year I got to go play with Team Canada as well in the International Bowl.
Super cool experience, I'm sure. Well, like you said, not only meeting people from Saskatchewan, your own province, but also meeting people from around the country and stuff like that. And I'm sure bonds that you still have with them today. And the football world, as big as it seems, it is very small. So I'm sure the connections of seeing them in a U Sports game and maybe even in the Canada West with you. So I'm curious, as a football fan, and I'm sure a football lover, especially Canadian, have you been paying attention to, we've seen football start to pick up with now, flag football being into the Olympics in 2028. And then also with, we're having some guests on with that are going to be on the senior men's national team representing Team Canada again. Obviously, you're very busy still in your career and wanting to go elsewhere, but having stuff like this around for future, let's say, that's got to be something cool. That's, I'm sure a lot of Canadian football players are kind of thinking of to themselves of like, man, maybe one day I can represent, Team Canada playing flag football or playing tackle football, even with the senior men's national team. Is that something that's maybe crossed your mind or even just piqued your interest, just, scrolling social media and kind of just seeing that that's been kind of in the headlines, I guess you can say, in Canadian football?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great. We'll get as many people, as many Canadians especially, involved in football as we can. And I mean, I think especially since, I mean, sometimes high school is the last time that guys put on the pads. It's like grade 12 and then it's just done. So I think just, yeah, creating that more opportunity is good for football as a whole. And yeah, I mean, even me myself, I play flag football. I've played flag football almost my whole tackle football career. So I mean, I think it's just good for skill development and getting more people involved that normally wouldn't be.
Yes. So let's get back to your journey a little bit more. And You mentioned of being a Regina boy and being the only member of your class in high school to go to University of Saskatchewan. I've heard you answer this question before, but just for my listeners that probably haven't heard this question, and just a two-parter, I guess, of why you decided to end up going to the University of Saskatchewan, as well as maybe other schools that were interested in your services at the time. And did you end up going through the recruiting process and maybe going on a visit to Regina or other schools that were interested in you during your recruiting process?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had some schools interested in me. I didn't really go on very many visits. I know when I was in Manitoba for the CFC prospect game tryouts or something, Coach Doby brought me to their facility and showed me around a little bit. But I kind of knew for the most part I wanted to stay in Saskatchewan. Just I'm a mama's boy. I got to stay close to my family and all that. So yeah, so for me it was basically between Regina and U of S. And I mean, I visited both places, and honestly, one of the deciding factors was just the schooling aspect. I knew I wanted to be an engineer, knew I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and so I mean that definitely propelled U of S ahead a little bit because the engineering programs at U of R are a little bit different. So yeah, I mean, school played a big role, but at the end of the day, I came had a conversation with Coach Flory. It was a great conversation. He took me out for supper, showed me around, and I kind of just fell in love with the whole facility. And I already knew a couple other guys on the team that committed at the time that I'd played Team Sask with. So, I just kind of wanted to start fresh in a new city, and yeah, just start my career at the U of S.
You mentioned Coach Flory there, and I'm curious if you can just talk a little bit about him and the standard and the culture that he's created now there in University of Saskatchewan, and obviously a Canadian Football Hall of Famer, a guy that went to the CFL and decided to come to the program and often started as I believe offensive coordinator and took over the reins as official head coach, and you kind of come to the program and have seen part of two trips to the national championship, and just the standard that you guys have created there is obviously a winning one. So just what are your thoughts on Coach Flory and just what he's meant to not only I'm sure your career but just the program as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Flory obviously sort of revolutionized the Huskies. And on top of that, he's just a fountain of knowledge. I for the All Canadian banquet, I got to spend a lot of time in a car with him. So he's a guy that you can just sort of ask questions to, and he'll just give you advice, whether that's football or just life in general. So yeah, he's definitely good for that. But in terms of the team standard, he runs a tight ship for sure. And yeah, he cares a lot about the guys he recruits. You could be a really good football player, but if he doesn't like how you carry yourself, or he doesn't like your attitude, then he'll move on. So he recruits based on skill and based on the person. So he's built up a community on this team, and yeah, so high standards for sure. And I mean, I guess you can sort of see how that reflects onto the field.
So the thing going to university is it's not high school football. It's not just about, fun, and it's not about everybody plays. So, you hear a lot about stories of, kids going somewhere, especially in today's age of the NIL deals or I guess I shouldn't say NIL deals, the transfer portal and how everyone can just leave. Um, Obviously Canada's a little bit different, but for you to go to Saskatchewan and a smaller role, but you still have a role your freshman season and you're contributing, and I believe you made a little bit of an impact in the Canada West, the Hardy Cup game that 2021 season. Take us through that season of you being a freshman. I'm sure wide-eyed, bushy-tailed young guy still away from home, and the balances of I think if you don't live it, you kind of tend to forget of you mentioned of being a mama's boy and stuff like that. Of like once you go to university, you're doing your own laundry, and you're obviously there's the cafeteria and stuff like that, but you're having to fend for yourself in a way, and kind of
Mhm.
having to make sure you stay alive. Take us through what that was like. I'm sure, especially being an engineering student, your schedule was probably insane with school and trying to make sure that you're tip top athlete as well. So I'm sure being rewarded on the field's got to feel good. Take us through what your freshman season was like, having a contributing role, but also being in university and all the responsibilities that come with that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'll be fully transparent. When I moved to Saskatoon, my mom moved up here with me, so I actually technically still live at home, which definitely eased the burden a little bit. But yeah, and another thing that sort of ease the pain for me was actually COVID. Kind of came in handy for me. I was able to sort of focus on that first year of school, get that first year engineering out of the way, which is notoriously hard and meant to weed people out sort of. So I was able to get that first year out of the way. And then from there, I got to give credit to like my senior running backs on the team at the time. I had Adam Mackhart and Josh Iwanchina. They were huge helps, sort of just guiding me and helping me learn the ropes. And I guess also my running back coach, Coach Dan Hool. Yeah, they definitely helped me out. Made me realize how little high school transfers over to university football. So whipped me back into shape, whipped up my skill set, sharpened me up a little bit, and yeah. So luckily, I was able to contribute that rookie season because of those guys and because of my coaches.
You talked a little bit about it there, but maybe if you can talk a little bit more in detail about it. You mentioned Adam Mackhart and a guy I'm familiar with, and even Chena, a CJFL guy with the Hilltops and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm sure you're watching them and being a sponge and learning everything that you can, but you end up kind of being your own man and your own player and end up kind of going off and doing your own career and matching some of those, or even doing better than some of, Mackhart's numbers and whatnot. How and you already did kind of just touch on that a little bit more, but if you can just kind of elaborate or shed any more light on it, how important was that for you, and just any kind of tips and tricks or nuggets that you take with you today and maybe use as you're the vet now in your running back room and you're kind of reminding, it's like, man, it feels like it was yesterday. I was kind of the roles reversed, but is there any kind of things that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. It does feel like yesterday that I was just that young guy. But yeah, so with Adam, one thing in the film room, it was always just if you did something wrong, it was just hey, just watch how Adam does it, because that guy he was an amazing player, did everything great. So yeah, that was something I heard a lot was just watch Adam do it. But when you actually talk to Adam, one of the biggest pieces of advice that he gave me were just do it your way. Like when it comes to like footwork, breaking tackles, things like that, he'd always say like you're your own player. You're here for a reason. You have your own skill set, so just do it your way. And that's one thing that I also like to tell the young guys coming into our team because obviously it doesn't apply in every situation, but at the end of the day, like they're there for a reason, and we can't really cookie cutter these players coming in because, like you said, everyone's their own player. So we don't want everyone to sort of be a replication of say Adam Mackhart because not everyone is Adam Mackhart. So yeah, definitely just that whole aspect of doing things like in a way you're comfortable with, but still conforming to the team. It's sort of a delicate balance of doing it your way versus the cookie cutter way.
Yeah, I think of kind of an example. I'm sure maybe you can relate to this a little bit with like running back and being a fan of the Sean McCoy and like how running backs are not taught to carry it with like one hand on the ball, kind of the bread loaf style, but it's like kind of be who you can afford to be in a sense, right? And it doesn't work for everybody, but if you can kind of do it and get away with it, more power to you. If you lose that ball, you better start to high and tight that thing. But as we get into your career a little bit more at Saskatchewan, I'm curious, 2020 go there and COVID, as you mentioned, and there's no football, unfortunately, in 2021. You have that little bit of a contributing role. In 2022, you come onto the scene. Saskatchewan, I'm sure, like I said, is well aware of who you are, but in the Canada West and in U Sports, I believe a Canada West All-Star and, total touches, 207 total touches, over 1,000 total yards and 6 total touchdowns on the season. What was that season like for you to kind of become your own man and become your own player, like I was saying, and to start to feel, I'm sure, start to feel good of contributing on the field.
Yeah, so that second season there was sort of another trial by fire. Because coming into that season, we had Josh Iwanchina as our starter, and very early in our first game, he went for a spin move and injured his knee. So then all of a sudden, I expected to sort of, contribute mostly on special teams, try my hardest on like kickoff return, punt return, and all of a sudden I'm the starting running back. So that was definitely eye opening for me and a little bit scary, but that season for sure definitely helped me sort of fall into place on the team and sort of understand what sort of player that I want to be. And for sure, the guys around me helped me out with that. Um, I'm pretty sure Mason Nice was still a quarterback on the team at the time. So having him beside me was definitely super helpful in terms of, just sort of taking a step back, calming myself and just saying, just play football.
So we got to talk about it, and I'm sure, Riker, you don't want to, and I'm sure it still brings up painful memories. But as I was mentioning in the 2021 Vanier Cup, you guys also get to the Vanier Cup in 2022, and I don't really know if you can kind of pull any silver linings out of getting to the Vanier Cup. The way I'm going to try to spin it back towards you to find any positivity out of it is like that, as I'm sure that you guys do that week leading up to the Vanier Cup of, you're usually saying of, we're the only ones practicing in the country right now. And we're lucky enough to be doing that. Everyone's eliminated right now. So as shitty of a feeling as that is to obviously lose both of the Vanier Cups, getting there is still got to be an accomplishment. What do you look back on those times now and just, is there any good memories, or is it just kind of more so of the bitterness of not being able to say that you're a Vanier Cup champion?
Yeah, there's definitely good memories that come with the bad. I mean, from our first Vanier Cup, one that comes to mind is sort of just a story of embracing adversity, so to say. Is the field was just sheer ice that year. So one of the things we did is we had a bunch of like indoor shoes, these weird little turf shoes shipped in because we knew our cleats were going to be too slippery. So we had a bunch of these little like studded rubber soled shoes that we had shipped in. And I think that it's just a super funny experience. Like, everyone's in a panic. Oh, we're not going to be able to run tomorrow. Like, what are we going to do? And then, yeah, we got those shoes shipped in and it all worked out fine. But there's just a lot of little, details like that, you remember every once in a while. And you sort of realize, yeah, it sucks we lost, but overall, like you said, we're the only team still practicing. We're still spending time together. We're in a strange city, so it's definitely a lot of good memories. Even though the game didn't turn out exactly how we wanted, but still fun experience, good memories to go along with it.
Yeah, for sure. And, people always say about the lessons that come with losing and stuff like that. And I'm sure the next year in 2023 kind of puts things even more into perspective of kind of the journey and how, long it takes to get to the mountaintop and just kind of having to start back over again the next following year. And in that 2023 season, you guys obviously end up losing, I think, in that Canada West semifinal. Take us through that season of kind of not being able to, obviously, when you get to two back-to-back Vanier Cups, you're kind of, I'm sure, telling you guys self in training and whatnot in the summer of like, this is our year of getting there and making sure we bring it home. And um, talk about your season, obviously, maybe not, I don't know if you want to call it a down year per se, or maybe by the numbers statistically, but a quieter year, I guess we could say,
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. What are maybe the lessons learned, like I'm saying, about kind of the lessons that come with losing? What are the lessons learned from 2023 that maybe you took into 2024 season?
Yeah, 2023 was definitely a heartbreaking year for our team, mostly because I think we just knew that we had more in us. Like you said, coming from two really successful seasons to, losing so early in the playoffs, it just felt like there was more for us to give there. So that one was definitely a little bit of a dagger in the heart. And me personally, something I learned from that season, like you said, sort of, we had Ted Kubongo, another great running back. So me and him sort of shared the workload a little bit more. It sort of made me realize like how I have to play the game. I have to play every play like it's my last. You can't take even a single play off because, I mean, even now we have a group of great running backs. We have Caden Miller, a younger guy. When he's not that young, I mean, he's only a year younger than me. He's young to me, but like, I mean, he's a great player. So it keeps me sharp and it makes me want to play my best football, even just having him there, because I know he's coming for those carries. He wants that work too. So definitely helped me realize how to be sharper. But yeah, I mean, from a team aspect, I think that loss, it almost just made us closer as a group, because coming off of those two Vanier Cup runs, a lot of those players graduated, and it was sort of the next wave of guys coming in. So that loss in the playoffs sort of solidified that group, brought us together and sort of set us up for the years to come.
So let's talk about this past season. And before we get to yourself individually and the team a little bit more down the line, it was a very interesting start to the season for you guys. And take us through the mentality and the mindset going in the locker room of, obviously the 2023 season was disappointment, but you guys still showed in that 2023 campaign, the regular season, that you guys were still a top tier echelon team in the Canada West. That coming into 2024, it wouldn't be any easy feat that you guys would be probably one of the playoff teams, which you guys proved to be. But I think it was 0-2 or 0-3, whatever the start was. I'm sure in the building and in the program, it was a very high belief of we're going to turn this around. But take us through that time of maybe some, I'm sure, internal, like, man, what the heck is going on right now? Like, is this really what a record is? But take us through the kind of the slower start for you guys this past season.
Yeah, I mean, I'll die on the hill that the Canada West is the best conference in U Sports. I mean,
SEC U Sports.
yeah, we call it the Wild West for a reason because, really, there's no easy games. Any game can go either way. It just so happened that the first few didn't go our way, still sort of figuring things out, getting guys in the right spots. So I think it just shows a testament to our team that maybe another team that's put in that situation, they'll sort of turn on each other. There'll be bad vibes in the locker room sort of thing, but that wasn't us at all. We, kept our chins up, grew even closer together as a team, and sort of just persevered through the bad to get to the good at the end of the tunnel. So definitely super proud of the team in that aspect.
And I'm sure Coach Flory kind of plays a big role in that of kind of keeping the locker room even keeled. And we're going to kind of turn this around and with the positive messaging going forward. So, Ryker, I know you're a humble guy, and I'm sure that talking about yourself is a kind of a hard thing to do. But I want to kind of turn this a little bit more into your conversation before we get into the team now. But I'm curious if maybe you can take us behind the scenes a little bit more of like your mindset, maybe some of your goals coming into this season. And obviously I'm sure you're, team number one of, maybe the individual goals are kind of to the side in terms of winning a Canada West championship and then winning a UTech or Mitchell Bowl and obviously a Vanier Cup. But you end up having a phenomenal season, a second team All Canadian, Canada West All-Star, just under 1,200 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns in the regular season, I think 12 to overall. Um, like I said, I guess it's hard. I know it's hard to talk about yourself in kind of this fashion, but take us through maybe the preseason Riker of maybe some mindset and kind of the goals for your upcoming season, that being 2024.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, any personal award I would trade in a heartbeat for a championship of the team. But that being said, I know I could possibly break the U of S all-time rushing yard record. So that's a personal goal of mine, is to sort of gun for that. But other than that, like we said before, I sort of just want to help my team get wins, whatever that means. If that means running the ball, that's fine. If it means catching the ball, if it means even taking a step back, giving the workload to someone else, whatever it takes for the team to win. But yeah, I mean, personal goals. I mean, every game I just want to play my best. I'm going to train hard and until the season happens, and then sort of just let the training take over from there, and put my love of the game on tape, play every play like it's my last, sort of thing.
Yes, well said. Um, I'm curious with having that conversation and kind of like your mindset and stuff like that. And I'm sure you're a very humble person, but you're also very confident in your abilities. And with that conversation of we talk about the wild Canada West, it's also a very talented Canada West, and I think it's very talented at the running back position. We hear about guys like Isaiah Knight getting NFL interest, obviously Braden Stubbs and Matthew Peterson, who we've been lucky enough to have on the channel before. Not to pump your tires, not to say this just because you're on here, but I think you stack up just with the rest of those guys. Um, that being said, I'm sure you got to kind of does that kind of go through your head at all when you know all you guys are having the regular seasons that you guys have had, and then obviously you get rewarded with being second team All Canadian, kind of reassuring yourself and kind of proving that, I am that guy in a sense, and um, kind of having that quiet confidence in a sense of like, obviously I'm very humble. Obviously I'm not kind of a guy that is very boisterous about this, but also being like, man, when I look right, when I look left, I stack up. I would kind of lace them up just like these guys do. Do you kind of feel that way when, especially when you have experience with them as well in like a situation like a East-West Bowl last season as well?
Yeah, I mean, I know these guys too, right? Like I've met all of them, had conversation with them. They're all great guys. And so it's fun to compare stats, and sort of, you know, win the race, win the rushing yards, how many, touchdowns, all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, the stats don't tell the full story. So as nice as it is to have those stats, I don't think it necessarily reflects like, who's the best or all that. But um, I mean, there's even the whole argument if we're such different play styles, so it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. But yeah, in the sense, I definitely think I do, stack up with those guys. And along with that, I mean, we even play like different roles on our respective teams. So, as long as I fit my role on my team, I'm happy. But in terms of ability, yeah, I think we all stack up very nicely, and hopefully can show that off at this upcoming CFL Combine.
I'm glad to hear that there's some friendly competition going on behind the scenes. You guys are all buddies, but also competing against one another. That's very cool to hear, and I'm curious to see how things kind of turn out. Because, like I said, I think you guys all stack up very well amongst one another, and I'm curious to kind of see what happens maybe when you guys are on the same field at a combine. So,
Mhm.
um, as we get to talking about your guys' past season, obviously you guys get to a very cool Hardy Cup final, but like a Vanier Cup, it's kind of more about winning. Is there any sort of I'm sure having a Regina guy on would be like, man, it was a very cool experience because we won. But having the inter-province rivalry, even watching from BC, was a very cool storyline to follow. Of you mentioned the wild, wild west of Canada, and seeing what happened in Manitoba, and then seeing what you guys did to UBC of 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, and just a wild scene in UBC. It was unbelievable to watch as a fan and as a Canadian football fan. So what were your memories and just kind of takeaways, I guess, from all Saskatchewan Hardy Cup?
Man, I mean, like I said, I'm from Regina, so I always have a lot of fun playing against those guys. A lot of guys that I've played against, all throughout high school, all throughout RMF, Pee Wee, all that. So a lot of friends on that team, and yeah, they had an up and down season as well. So it was sort of just crazy to see how things turned out. Unfortunately, didn't get the win in the Hardy there, but you know, with the bad, there was also still it was a lot of fun to play in that game. I mean, I personally played my heart out, so um, it's hard to look back and have too many regrets when you left it all out there. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun playing all Saskatchewan, and like we were talking about earlier, there's just something different about Saskatchewan football. So um, definitely a lot of passion there on that field. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to play in that all Saskatchewan Hardy Cup.
So when thinking about your career, Riker, and obviously it's potentially not over yet, and it's very still fresh. I just asked actually Taylor Elger's mother this question the other day, and I know the season just ended a few months ago. But when looking back at your career, like I said, I know it's not over yet, but you look at third in career in the program's history in carries, and second, like you said, in rushing yards, and you this past season broke the rushing touchdown records, and now are first all time. Do you have a sense of pride, or is it maybe too soon that you're still kind of in it? You're still in the fire, so you haven't been able to kind of really sit back and kind of set the fire and really kick your feet up and kind of really acknowledge what you've done throughout your university career.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I was sort of saying earlier, the personal stats, I think they're just sort of the cherry on top to what we've accomplished as a team. Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm for sure am proud of those records, and especially since there's been so many great running backs to come through the U of S. We were talking about Adam Eckhart and Josh and all those guys. So definitely an honor to be up there, and yeah, like you said, I'm not done yet. So hopefully I'll be able to add to those. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm most proud of those team accomplishments.
Well said. So last few questions here before we get you out of here, Riker, and we're going to shift our focus now towards kind of your future in the next few months here coming up with the combine and whatnot. And let's start with you've been training, I believe, with the Ignite Athletics program. And tell us maybe a little bit about what they offer and kind of the training you guys have been doing there, as well as some of the athletes that you're surrounded with. Not only are you training with some of your Saskatchewan Huskies teammates that are going to be participating at the combine, but you're also around, CFL guys and professionals right now.
Hmm.
So tell us about what you guys are doing over there and just how that's making you a better player right now.
Yeah, I mean, Ignite is an awesome facility. They got a high class gym, and they have a great turf area too. So it allows us to get in the weight room and on the field. Um, right now, I'm training with Coach Graham Black, and sort of this crew of combine guys. We got Seth Hundeby, Lane Novak, and Dan Weeb, sort of in our little crew here that we're training right now. Um, and sort of one thing I like about Coach Black's, combine training philosophy is he told us right from the start he's not going to try to, reshape sort of who we are as an athlete. He's not going to try to like rebuild us from the ground up. He sort of just wants us to go out there and be us. So a lot of our training has focused around, just getting a feel for things and just being able to go out there and just be us. We're not focusing. I'll use the 40 for example. Like we're not focusing on like, okay, take one step back, angle your foot at 45 degrees, all that sort of extra junk. We're just focused on, okay, let's line up and run because we're athletes and that's what we do. So I mean, yeah, I think hopefully it'll reflect well in the combine and yeah, so we're definitely having fun, getting better. And like you said, there's guys that have gone through it. We see Nathan Cherry almost every day in the gym, getting in work. Uh, Josh Haggerty, like that whole crew of guys, Riley Pickett. Then they'll stop by and give us a few tips and sort of tell us about their experiences, which is just an awesome tool to have. Just having those guys around us who have been through it before. So yeah, I mean, I love Ignite. It's a great community there, and definitely getting us ready for this combine.
Yeah, for sure. The resources there, I'm sure, are just nice to be able to have and kind of lean on, I'm sure. But as we get into the combine a little bit more, and this is a tough one for me because you kind of the balance of like I know the word's thrown around like the underwear Olympics that the combine is of like you train for this stuff and it is important in a sense of like kind of showcasing yourself, but also like I know football players are like, man, I'm never gonna run 40 yards in a straight line, or like some of these things that are kind of for show in a sense, or just kind of for the combine show or entertainment. But it also is kind of a live interview in a sense. So I'm curious of kind of, I guess, the mindset and kind of goals that you have going into this combine of obviously wanting to showcase yourself to the best of your ability, but it's a tough one to kind of balance, I'm sure, because like being frustrated that maybe you ran a slower 40 time, it's like that doesn't necessarily translate to being on the field when
Mhm.
like some guys chasing me, my speed's going to be a little bit faster most likely than being on the combine field. So what are your just mindsets and kind of goals here going forward into the combine?
Yeah, I mean, like I was sort of saying about our training philosophy is also my philosophy going in is just to just show up and be me. I have faith in my abilities, so I'm just gonna show up and try my best. Really, that's all it comes down to. And then like you were saying as well, the numbers, they matter to an extent, but they're not the end all be all. So there's going to be lots of opportunities, whether that be through the testing or through the on field stuff, to show what I'm capable of. And um, I mean that's what I'm there to do, is just sort of show what I'm all about, and hopefully the teams like that. So it's all you really can do. Just show up.
Love that. So kind of a two-parter to end this, and you talked about kind of your prototype and how you and Isaiah and multiple backs are very different. So if you don't mind, maybe just for my listeners as well as maybe some coaches and just informing them of like for listeners of like maybe the style of back that you think you are, like maybe you think you're in between the tackles, whatever you think, a speed back, as well as maybe what you want to kind of display for coaches at the upcoming combine.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as sort of a guy with a big toolbox. I like to be sort of like, dip my toes in a little bit of everything, because you never know really what you're going to be up against. So, if I'm up against a bigger guy, I'm not going to be able to run through him. So I want to be able to beat that guy specifically with speed. Or if up against a smaller guy, that's a guy that I can maybe run through. So I like to think that I'm good at everything. Really, is um is what I like to think. So, um, sort of just training, not necessarily one specific thing that I'm good at or one specific thing that I'm bad at. I like to sort of cover all my bases, expand the toolbox, and sort of just being able to adapt to situations and do what needs to be done to win the game.
So, Riker, a couple fun ones before we get you out of here. I lied about being the last one, but I see you got the CMC jersey, you got the Walter Payton jersey behind you. Do you got a favorite running back all the time, or is there a running back maybe you grew up, you kind of wanted to pattern your game after it all, or is there any running backs maybe you just want to take a second to kind of talk about for a sec?
Well, I mean, yeah, I got the CMC jersey back there, so he's definitely one that I model my game after. He specifically his like catching ability out of the backfield is one thing that sort of ticks something in my brain. Is, oh man, I want to be able to catch more passes. That's just another way to get the ball. So yeah, definitely Christian McCaffrey, I would have to say is my favorite all time.
You mentioned about having a lot of tools in your toolbox. I think CMC is having a lot of tools in his toolbox as well.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
my last one for you here, Riker, and it's not a football one, I can't lie, but I saw the viral clip going around and stuff like that. I'm curious. You mentioned of I think it was the silliest things you've ever bought, and
Oh
we
yeah.
heard that you bought a 3D printer. I'm curious. I saw that you Iron Man mask is at the time of
Mhm.
that video recording was the coolest thing I believe you had made. Is there any other cool things you have made, or is it just Iron Man mask still?
Um, I've made lots of. I could go grab the mask if you
Go
want to
grab.
see
Yeah, I
it.
would love to.
Okay, here, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
I've been waiting a long time for this one, folks. So Riker is like you said, an engineering student. He bought a 3D printer in 2020 during COVID. And if you guys haven't seen the video, it is on the Persevere Instagram account, and you guys can actually hear Riker kind of talk about it a little bit more. And he mentioned that he was lucky enough to buy the 3D printer and then make a
Oh,
Iron Man helmet that
you,
I don't know if it like is fully. It is essentially fully functioning, right? Kind of.
yeah.
So how freaking cool is that, Riker? I gotta ask, how long
And
did it take you to build? And like, yeah, holy smokes, man, that is crazy.
I don't know. It's got batteries in it right now, but yeah, it opens and closes, lights up.
How long did it take you to build?
Uh, well, a lot of these I built during COVID when I had nothing to do, so like about 2 weeks maybe each.
Fair enough, fair enough. Oh, when I
Yeah,
saw that, man, I'm a big.
got more than one too.
Oh, really? Hey, different kind of different mask, eh?
Yeah.
Very cool. When I saw that video, man, I was like, number one, very jealous and very cool of a build to make. But you mentioned of other cool stuff you built. Is there any kind of just come to mind of like other cool items that you built?
Um, just I've 3D printed like a lot of stuff. Just like a little gadgets. Repairs around the house. Um, but honestly, not really that comes to mind right now. Um,
The Iron Man mask takes the cake, honestly, buddy. I'll be honest. There's that hard to kind of be cooler than that.
yeah, I'm proud of those. I like to show them off when I get the chance.
I would as well. Anyways, Riker, I appreciate you so much for jumping on here today, buddy. And most importantly, we just want to wish everybody at Canadian Football Fanatics just want to wish you best of luck this upcoming Thursday at the Invitational Combine. Hopefully, you get to punch your ticket to the National Combine and showcase your abilities to some CFL scouts, front offices, and worst case, we will see you on the football field next year in the Canada West. So, Riker, before we close out here, maybe just let the people know where they can find you not only on social media, but if they want to support the Saskatchewan Huskies football team. Obviously, it's still the off season, but when they come back around to the season and stuff like that, where they can find you guys and maybe want to tune into Canada West games. It's where we kind of try to end all our episodes with Canada West athletes. Of we've seen Taylor Elgersma, Theo Benedette, Gio Manu kind of go down and showcase the ability of U Sports athletes. Of we have top tier athletes here in Canada, and obviously it's college football Saturday everyone's tuning into TSN and wanting to watch Division One. But what I realized the last few years is like the level of play, as we talked about in the Canada West specifically, man, is unbelievable. Of like what you might tune in to on a weekly basis of who's going to beat who and who's going to have a breakout performance. So maybe just let the people know like why they should tune in, not only but to Canada West, but the University of Saskatchewan Huskies football.
Yeah, people should definitely tune in because we have a lot of high caliber players, which leads to some fun, exciting games, especially the Can West. Like we were saying earlier, it's the Wild West out there. So, uh, tune into Can West TV to watch a fun game for sure.
The last thing I will die on the soapbox as well is we got to get Canada TV either free or a little bit down, because OUA TV is free, and I'm not a fan of having to pay for Canada West TV when OUA is free. But anyways, Riker, best of luck at the upcoming combine, buddy. Hopefully we'll chat soon and go kill it in Waterloo. So that is going to do it for episode 39 here, folks. Running back of the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, Ryker Frank. If you guys enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe. Most importantly, you guys can find us at Canadian Football Fanatics on Instagram, at _CF Fanatics on Twitter. That's going to do it for episode 39. We will catch you guys in the next one.